Hello boys and girls, welcome to my channel. I'm ForClassic and welcome to BenchART. So for today what I do have in it is Cyberpunk 2077. This game it is developed by CD Projekt Red, the same developers behind the Witcher series, and also the website and store of GOG and its own application, GOG Galaxy, which they sell non-DRM games and old games. This game it is using their in-house engine, which is the Red engine. In this case, they say that it's the 4th iteration. I'm sorry if you are hearing some bumping in here, but somebody is kind of hammering my walls or something. But let's forget about it. Let's go to what it matters. Does the Nvidia MX130 or the GT 940 MX can run Cyberpunk 2077 with decent frame rate? Well, that's hard to reply. So I'm playing the game, as you can see, at 720p. You can use lower resolution if you want, but you will need to have like 2 pairs of glasses to watch what the hell you are looking for, because I'm running the game at low settings and I'm using Dynamic Fidelity FX CAS. This is a dynamic resolution system, and what I'm saying in here is that I want the game to target 30 frames per second at least. And the game is authorized to use 50% of resolution scaling if it needs to try to target that resolution. But 50% of resolution scaling, it's pretty much 360p, so it's a super low resolution. And well, that's why everything looks so blurry, and many times it can't even, well, sometimes it's not even enough. So there is also on the gameplay 2 settings, which is called density. I'm having low, and an option if you have an HDD, which you should enable if you have an HDD. In case that I do have an SSD, so I don't use that option, because it only helps for HDD users. So looking to the requirements, oh boy, it's tough. So for 1080p low settings, these guys say that you need at least an i5 from the 3000 generation, 8 gigs of RAM, and an RX 570 or a GTX 780. So what happens really is that the MX130 is, well, much worse than the 780. It also specifies that you need 3 GB of VRAM, and I only have 2 GB. But I don't think that the VRAM it is the issue in here, since I never used the entire VRAM throughout the game, and I also didn't notice any stuttering, which is what it happens when you don't have enough VRAM. So I only tested with these settings, so low settings, 720p and 50% of dynamic resolution, targeting 30 frames per second, and even using this, it was not enough to keep up with a stable 30 frames per second. So almost 90% of the time the game was under 30 frames per second. So the experience was overall between 20 to 30 frames per second. So for many people this will be playable, especially now that we know that consoles are struggling a lot with the game. I mean the PS4, for example. At the time of this video, they are struggling in some sequences. When you are driving, they have 15 frames per second. We also have our own share of drops to around 22 or 23 frames per second. In regarding frame rate, I think we are a little bit better than PS4 in here in its actual state, but I'm pretty sure CD Projekt Red will optimize better the consoles as soon as they have time to do it. As for this laptop, I'm not expecting any improvement in performance in the upcoming weeks, if you ask me. But, you know, none of the less, the quality that we are using in here, I mean, we are literally playing the game at 360p most of the time. This is a super low resolution. Yes, you can play the game, but you will need glasses, because, I mean, everything it is a blur. Everything that is in front of you more than 5 meters, you can't just simply understand, because everything it is a blur. The only moment where the game doesn't get as much blurry as it can, it's when theoretically the game would get above 30 frames per second and the dynamic resolution scaling adapts and applies a better resolution automatically, and that's where the game gets a little bit more sharper. But since you are driving when you are looking to a bigger room, every time that the game it is running lower than 30 frames per second, it is at 360p. So visually, I mean, it's really bad. And if you ask me, should you buy the game? Should you play the game with this hardware? My answer it is no. Mostly because I think Cyberpunk deserves so much better. I think this deserves a better hardware. I fully understand that you might not have any other way to play the game, but should consider Google Stadia or even GeForce Now. That's a subscription service. It's playing. It's a streaming service where you can play the game. Stadia, it is running the game at 1080p 60 frames per second. Well, I know that probably you don't have enough internet to have a nice streaming service like Google Stadia. But for some reason, if you have, you should really consider to enjoy Cyberpunk 2077, even if it is through a streaming service, because at least Google Stadia it is running at 1080p 60 frames per second. It is even performing better than my GTX 1650 Super in that regard. So I think it's something that you should really consider. It is to play through Google Stadia if you only have this laptop to play the game. All right. In case you think that you will be upgrading anytime soon, just wait and enjoy the game on that laptop, on that PC, on that console, where you are going to upgrade. All right, because you can play this game from beginning to the end with this laptop. All right, but I think that the visuals that you are playing, the frame rate that you are getting, I mean, Cyberpunk deserves better. All right, that's just my own opinion, and I think that's all that I want to talk about the performance and graphics. This is my own opinion. Your opinion might be different. We had people here in the channel saying that can play games at 15 frames per second. So if you really can play games at 15 frames per second, you can go to the dynamic resolution option and put the frame rate at a maximum of 15. I'm pretty sure the resolution will get much better and will get visually much better than what we have in here. But not all the people can play at 15 frames per second. For me, that's really a big no. I prefer to not play it and enjoy it later, because Cyberpunk 2077, it's not going anywhere. This game, it's not going to disappear, and I have no problem in playing this game later. Alright? So, I think that's all about the performance. But now, what about the game? Well, the game, I don't have too much talk about it, honestly, because I just played like 1 hour of it, and yes, I did encounter some physics bugs, but nothing serious. Everything just worked until now decently fine, aside from those physics bugs where I killed one guy and the guy just kind of disappeared throughout the map. It just went into the sky. And there was one guy that I killed that was inside a van, and it just got out through the roof of the van without explaining how the hell did it traverse from inside the van to outside through the roof. So there are some weird physics bugs going on. And so yes, the game, it's a little bit bugged. Even after the day 1 patch, it clearly needs more fixes, alright? So I don't have too much to talk about it, because like I did told you, I just played like 1 hour. And I can't really judge the game with 1 hour of gameplay. But what I can talk, it is about the situation around the entire game. So, like I was telling you, I don't feel that the game it is ready, and the game needs much more work, especially on the consoles. The PS4 and Xbox One are running this game really poorly, with drops to 15 frames per second, sometimes don't even load the assets, so it's a mess, and it clearly deserves more work. PC version also have its share of bugs. Some people claims that the game is too demanding and then might need some optimizations. And well, that's about it. And that's X for the next generation consoles. If you get this game for the PS5 or the Xbox Series S or X, you are not going to get an improved graphics quality. You are going to get the same assets as the PS4 or as the Xbox One, but I think you will get better frame rates as well as better resolution, but the assets will be the same. So if the game was running at low settings on PS4 and Xbox One, you will be running the game at low settings on PS5. CD Projekt Red already told us, not us, but to the entire internet, that the PS5 and the Xbox Series S will get its improvements with the next generation update, but that will only come next year. So This was a big red flag in my opinion. So CD Projekt Red have been delaying this game entirely all from time to time. And at first I thought they was just iron out some bugs, but after a while I started to not believe that was the case, because even the stock market and their value as a company was significantly dropping. They were losing money by delaying the game over and over and over again, so something was clearly wrong with the game. And the results are this: the game is just a buggy mess. I'm pretty sure they will be fixing the game because they are CD Projekt Red. They always had a great support, if you ask me, so I'm pretty sure they will fix this, but this will take weeks, if not months. It surely will take months. And the last thing, if you ask me, the last thing they will care about, it's the optimization on the PC version. Because first, there is the optimization of the old consoles, which clearly needs more optimization. Then there is the bugs, and then there is the next year, next gen version of the PS5 and the Xbox Series consoles. And only then comes the performance of the PC, if you had to guess. If I had to guess, that was the case. Alright, so I think that's all that I want to talk about Cyberpunk 2077. Hope you keep enjoying the rest of the gameplay, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.
Creeping up my spine, Jack.
Yeah, well, these guys are a bit more than just naughty boys. Get in the elevator! Fucking sheep. Stay cool. They're just trying to spook us. Alright, keep chill, V. Remember, we're on their turf. So what do you want?
You got a bot. Model MT0D12, called the Flathead.
And? The hell you care?
Guy I represent already paid Brick for it. I'm just here for the pickup. I can talk direct to Royce if necessary.
Nah, you talk to me. Name's Dum Dum. Now couch, planet. Well, shit. Goes for you too.
I'll stand.
This so fucking hard? Fucking ass on the fucking couch!
Make me.
Thought you'd never ask. Sit your ass down for a planet bullet in your skull.
Jesus, Jack, what gives?
Primerito, I don't like this guy's tone. Segundo, sitting on your ass makes you an easy target.
Sit your ass down for a planet bullet in your skull.
You know what, Jack? You called it. Let's scrap the bastards.
You fucking nihilate sense!
Fuerte, cabrón! Empty mag! Hey! Ratchets! Hijo de puta! You locked me. Flathead's gotta be around here somewhere. You find anything?
Nothing yet.